Hi, Governor Gladys Wanga, she has to be a sorcerer.
Gladys Wanga going to that grieving father's home, mocking him with money, forcing him to thank people. Anamwambia hata amesahau thank Raila. Anamwambia umesahau thank president. Tell him that you are very thankful amechukua mtoto wako kama yake. Can president go and kill Shalin Ruto? Can president summon DCI waende waue Shalin Ruto? So that was very shameful of the political elite, and we are not safe. We are not safe in this country as young people.
But some people thought that Albert Ojwang's burial would follow the normal Luo funeral syllabus ya choir, speeches, eulogy, kuchamo chapat na kuenda home, lakini wapi. Plot twisted like a Nigerian movie, to the suit-wearing Luos shouting that we are in government with their chests louder than a generator. Relax. This wasn't about tribes or positions. This was about one Kenyan, Albert Ojwang, who was tortured and killed by the same police meant to protect him. Let's stop dancing around the truth. Police brutality is the real enemy. Tribalism is expired. Let's be in both one.
Did you know that it's actually possible for people to get stuck in marriages that they don't like, and then they have to live the rest of their lives in misery and petty squabbles? Well, brace yourselves, because as we speak, that's exactly what's happening in this incest marriage of Kenya Kwanza and ODM. I say this because up until yesterday, the husband of Gladys Wanga was serving as the non-executive chairperson of EPRA, which stands for Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority. But President Ruto has since then terminated his tenure through a Gazette notice. There's so much drama in politics these days. This video wants us to look into some of the reasons why President Ruto decided to fire Gladys Wanga's husband. And with no further ado, let's get after it. Reason number one, Gladys Wanga put out a damning letter that exposed even more filth by the Kenya Police Service. For instance, you might not know this, but believe it or not, there's a fisherman called Calvin's Omondi Onditi who allegedly hanged himself in a police cell with his trousers. Yani, kama ile ya kugongwa kwa ukuta iku kukasirisha, kuna mtu ati alijinyonga This person was arrested, akatoa his trousers longi, akajinyonga nayo na akakufa. I never even heard of this one until Gladys Wanga exposed it. Kumbe kuna jamaa mwingine, Calvin's Onditi, ati alijinyonga na longi. The Kenya Police Service need to just be disbanded. If these are some of the things which are happening to Kenyans should no longer be held at Kenya Police Service cells. Those holding cells are a direct passageway to Zayuni. You go in, you go to heaven. You go in, you go to hell. Either way you'll go somewhere, be it purgatory, limbo, nirvana, ile unaamini, uko ndo utaenda. So long story short, that post by Gladys Wanga, which was put out on her Twitter and then subsequently was deleted, angered somebody in power. Because they're saying, look, we're having all this maandamano because of Albert. Na tena huyu hoka amepigwa risasi. Tena wewe unakuja unafichua Calvin's Onditi ati alijinyonga na longi. Si itawakasirisha zaidi. I'm sure that is why even the husband George Wanga was axed from his previous post. Now the second reason why the president decided to axe George Wanga could be the fact that George Wanga himself lost interest in working for this government. He could have absconded duty, refused to go to work like Samido did a little while back and they had an issue with him. Or it could be that he has tendered his own resignation. And for the president to get ahead of any form of speculation that he's lost touch with his government and people are breaking off from his government, he decided to do a Gazette notice terminating the tenure of George Wanga, which is much better for him politically than George Wanga issuing a resignation letter, which for sure will leak on Twitter and people will say, you see hata ODM hawataki mambo ya Ruto. So he could have been trying to get ahead of the curve. But either way, at the end of the day, George Wanga should not be thinking amefutwa kazi. He has been liberated from the filth that is going on in this government. Let him move on. There is so much space in the private sector. The wife is a governor. Wanaweza enda wasaidiane huko kwa county vile tuliona Kawira akisaidiana na Murega Baichu yule wa gitaa, walisaidiana to the best of their ability. You don't have to work for Kenya Kwanza. It is not the right regime to work for. Ethics and ethos are things that don't exist.
Hey! Rigathi Gachagua. Nimeona umeanza kutembea sasa Kenya mzima sasa. Umeanza kutembea Kenya vile tulikuwa tumeitisha. Umetoka Mount Kenya umetudisapprove, umeingia Ukambani umetudisapprove, umeingia pale nimeona uko Taita Taveta kidogo unaoita Kuzo. Umeingia hapo Mombasa umeambia one time. Rigathi Gachagua, welcome to Nyanza. Kuja Nyanza. Kuja utusalimie pia sisi. Tunakupenda sana. Kuja Nyanza utuimbie one time huko Nyanza pia sisi. Tunaitaka pia sisi. Hiyo song nimeona tu ikiimbwa huku Kenya mzii, hii side nyingine ya Kenya, lakini hujai fika Nyanza. Wewe fika Nyanza pia sisi tuimbe one time. Hivyo vile unadai. Na pia sisi ututafutie jina. Nimeona wazee wa Coast tunaita Makuzo. Pia si ututafutie jina bana. Hi cousins. Sasa pia si tunataka hiyo jina bana. Kama hata ni brothers ama ni nini, pia si tunapenda hiyo jina. Hi cousins. Tutafute pia sisi. Welcome to Nyanza Rigathi Gachagua. Welcome to Nyanza. Kuze tuimbe one time pamoja. Pia sisi tunataka kuimba.
What just happened at the Mawego police station in Homa Bay County definitely sends a very clear message to this blood-based regime that they can go around parroting as much as they want, but the power is with the people. The people have the ultimate power, and they shall exercise it in whichever means that they deem necessary. Recently, Homa Bay has been in the news for, let me say, the wrong reasons. I mean, recalling the death of the Kasipul Member of Parliament, Ongondo Were, who was a violent man, he had the fondness of using guns to attack his real and perceived political opponents. Yeah. And of course, we've also seen ODM politicians from Homa Bay County, the likes of Governor Gladys Wanga, Homa Bay Town Member of Parliament, Kaluma. They've been parroting themselves in the news, talking a lot of nonsense. You wouldn't believe that these are the same guys who, for a very long time before the Raila and Ruto handshake, these are the same fellows who used to talk as if they wouldn't even want to dare sitting on one table with one William Ruto. Let them enjoy their loot, but the people shall never forget. Now, we have talked so much, so loudly about the excessive use of force by the police in Kenya, extrajudicial killings. They have definitely worsened under this regime. That is a fact. Yeah. State-led abductions still going on. No one gives a damn from the government, But all these are the makings of a totalitarian state. In fact, right now we are one. How do we get convinced that we live in a country where the minister or the cabinet secretary in charge of interior, that is basically internal security, would appear in public and urge police to shoot at any protester who dares to approach a police station? How is that even stupidity? I think it's way lower than stupidity. That's absolute madness. It is a very reckless statement. And then he went on to say that, the government will not encourage cases against police who shoot at these protesters. Basically he said the government is never going to, or rather the government will fight tooth and nail to ensure that such cases never proceed. And then later, the guy recants his statement saying that he was misquoted. The head of the DCI himself, Mohammed Amin, appears before Parliament, prevents falsified information, and then later says, that's not what I meant, you misquoted me. Fellows, these are the people who are in charge of our national security. We have every reason to be worried in this country. The number of Kenyans, the thousands of Kenyans who marched into and then out of the Mawego police station, that was a resounding protest against the nonsense by this regime. Up to now, we haven't had any clear answers, apart from the OCS of Central Police Station and those other junior police officers who've been interdicted. Where is the main suspect? I read somewhere that the main suspect, Eliud Lagat, the Deputy Inspector General of Police, apparently he's found himself back to work. So how will Albert Ojwang's family get justice? But one thing that I'm always certain in my life is that no matter how long it takes, justice will be served. That's why when I look at these people in this regime, I consider them to be crazily stupid. Because look, one time, these guys are going to be prosecuted, and it is so obvious. I mean, the footprints are all over. The footprints of the reckless statements they've been saying, orders permitting police to shoot anyhow, state-led abductions. Do you want to convince me that the National Security Committee of this country does not know what is going on in this country? Huh? So politicians should be warned in this country that the tides are so strong. Times are changing. You either sail with the winds or you get crushed. And I think a typical average Kenyan politician, especially those ones in the broad-based government, are really sailing with this sort of ignorance and arrogance that what come what may, nothing is ever going to happen. But what I can guarantee them is that the ground is too hot. And most of these guys are going to go home, including William Ruto. That is a fact. You know? So, the people of Homa Bay, the people whom the likes of Kaluma, who is the Homa Bay town MP, the likes of Wanga, who have always been saying that our people are in government, we've suffered so long being outside government. I'm very sure they were surprised by those huge numbers at Mawego. And let me tell these people one thing. Never ever take for granted, even if Kenyans have disappointed on different occasions when it comes to voting, never ever joke with the people who are tired. I'll give you, I don't necessarily need to mention here a few examples from across Africa, but when you check at the trends in Africa, most of these guys in Kenya Kwanza are in for a very, very big surprise. It does not guarantee you, even if they are going to have their own kids, wives, concubines, as the people mandated to be in charge of the IEBC, they are going home. The will of the people will always remain strong, and we must keep on speaking against bad governance, extrajudicial killings, police brutality, and all this kind of ills which subvert the spirit and the letter of our constitution.
Ruto must go. What is Ruto going to tell us? How is Ruto giving anybody hope? Ruto already is, even his own people don't want him. You the Kenyan people, you're not the type, and you would call your leader out. It's your Ruto, it's Kasongo that we are after.
Yeah,
Not the Kenyans. We love the Kenyans. We know the Kenyans have morals. Yes, our Kasongo. Yes. Your Kasongo is the one that we have an issue with. I love you guys, you Kenyans. You guys have morals.
Wanafaa pia wapandishe grade ya kujoin polisi. Hii mambo watu wako na wanaingia polisi. Ati unakimbia lap 24 alafu kona meno zote. Una train umbwa ni bad.
Sijaelewa hiyo kitu lakini. Labda hata wewe ni wazimu, lakini uko na meno zote.
Mdomo.
Imagine umepewa kazi juu kuna meno zote. Ufeel kama wewe ni mnyama.
Umbwa hiyo. Azinafaa upandishe grade ya kujoin polisi.
Kenya kunaendelea kuharibika. Unajua Samoei kuna vile cheki anatrai kuchange rules. Jiulize hii swali. Tafakari ya babu. Na ya babu ni haya. If you're a president and you know that there's an election in 2 years time, would you, if you're not sure of coming back, would you repair your office for 2 billion shillings? Would you repair State House for 2 billion shillings? That's a total of 4 billion shillings. If you're not 100% sure that you're coming back. Yes? The reason I keep doing this, kuambia wase, this person is planning to use all methods to come back. So it's up to us to make sure that tumetokea sisi wote. Tokea. Make sure anyone who will be 18 by that time ametokea. Make sure the gap is so big that hata Sudi jua tampigia jua mwambia, Yamune! Eko nene.
And don't buy into the political rhetoric of trying to divide you into tribes.
Yes.
Our problems are not tribal. There is no Kikuyu problem, there is no Kalenjin problem, there is no Luo problem, there is no Somali problem. There is no Kamba problem.
Yes.
Shift share knows no tribe. The university funding model knows no tribe.
Yeah.
Joblessness knows no tribe. All these problems that we point out, they do not know any tribe.
Walai kwa national anthem yetu mzima, line tu moja tu ndio ina make sense sahi. Mungu nguvu yetu. Hiyo peke yake. Hizi zingine zote hadi tuishi na undugu, amani na uhuru. Hakuna
Uhuru siku hizi haishi na sisi.
uhuru hata haishi na sisi, hata tulipotokanga. Amani hakuna, undugu hakuna, siku hizi mandugu ni mandugu. Yaani hakuna ati
na upendo.
Ati raha tupate na ustawi. Raha gani? Watu mtaani wanapata raha na matawi. Ustawi hakuna. Ati tushikane mikono pamoja kazini. Watu wana kazi. Ati sijui may we dwell in unity. Sasa tuna dwell in poverty. Sasa hakuna sasa ni kungori. Hakuna kitu yenye ati plenty be found within our borders.
Hakuna plenty.
Watu wanavuka border wakihepa
wakienda kutafuta hizo plenty huko.
Wakienda kutafuta plenty huko. Hakuna hata kitu hata mmoja kwa hiyo national anthem yenyewe. Sasa hii tunaishi nayo. Hakuna.
Wakisema one time tunawaambia nini? Tunawaambia nini? Tunawaambia nini?
One term is real, one term is unstoppable, and no violence. We need peace, but one term is real. Hii hata Mungu ameweka sahihi. Hii kampuni ya profesa na dokta sio ni ikiwaka. Hata mtoe pesa ngapi, mshuke juu, mshuke chini, muende kando, muende katikati. Hii one time is real. Asi machezo.
Saizi nguvu imebaki ni ya maandamano peke yake, si ndio? Akitaka kwenda unamuitishia Uber chap. Hakuna kubembeleza punda kwa mteremuko. Mwambie
enyewe Ruto must go. Enyewe Ruto must go. By the way, Ruto must go. Enyewe Ruto must go. Wash fire, Ruto must go. Enyewe Ruto must go. By the way, Ruto must go.